Hey there, NavyDoc5184 here, and welcome to another reaction video. And this one is actually serving a dual purpose. This one is going to be one of the top performers for my reaction videos from last month, which is Big Bang. And the other purpose is to celebrate the announced comeback of BTS, which is probably one of the actual first groups that really got me into K-pop. And how I'm doing that, we are going to react to Vibe by Taeyang and Jimin. So I'm really looking forward to this. Man, I can't imagine the hype when this song came out, considering how big Big Bang was that I'm learning about, and just really how influential they were to K-pop as a whole. And then with BTS, again, is probably like the one group that probably brought a lot of Westerners, I would feel, into K-pop. You know, it's kind of like I really don't know how to describe it. It's like you always have like that one group that really kind of just helped really expand it, but then you got the ones that like paved the way. Like Big Bang are definitely the ones that paved the way for BTS to do what they did. So to see those two worlds merging, I can only imagine how big it was. And I did get a glimpse of how many views there were, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I expected it to be close to 1 billion, just considering the two groups involved here, even though it's only members from each of the group. But I mean, combining Big Bang with BTS in any way, I would have figured would have been huge. Not that, you know, 160 plus million isn't big in 2 years. You know, I guess I was just expecting, you know, just an astronomical number. But I mean, that really doesn't deter me, you know, for my own excitement for the song. I can't wait to see what it does. I have so enjoyed everything I've reacted to in regards to Big Bang, and you know I've got some BTS in there too, so it's nice to actually kind of merge excuse me, to merge these two groups together. So we will go ahead and get right into it. I will leave a link to the original video in the description below. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Okay, so I got Taeyang starting this. I dig it, cool. So I'm just pausing real quick because I know as much as I fawn over Taeyang's vocals, I think I really need to make sure that before I continue on, I make sure I throw some love for Taeyang, because he's got some amazing vocals too. See, Taeyang with his vocals, and I think somebody pointed this out in one of my last reactions when it came to a Big Bang video, pointed out that with Taeyang, he's definitely got more of an R&B type of vocal, which I full-heartedly agree with. And you can kind of hear it in that definitely full-on R&B, and I love it. While I may probably lean more towards Taeyang's, that doesn't take away from Taeyang at all. Like, if I was to rate Taeyang at 100, Taeyang would probably be at worst like maybe a 98.5. You know, that's like really how close they are. So it's like, even though one is preferred, that doesn't mean he's that far behind, because oh lord, his vocals are just as solid. Got some raps in there too. Okay. Woo! Hold up. Let's go. Let's watch that again. That little toe stand right there. Woo! Okay. I see you, T. I see you. I really love the vibe of this song. No pun intended. Okay, so I know I accidentally threw in a pun there. There was no pun intended when I said I really enjoyed the vibe of the song, but I think what I really love about this is I get such a excuse me. I guess nostalgic feel. It doesn't fully feel nostalgia to me because in my mind it's not that long ago, but I have to accept the fact that, you know, when it comes to music, anything over 20 years is probably, you know, old slash nostalgic. So I do have to accept that fact. But like, I feel like I'm really getting like a vibe, you know, for this being only 2 years old, but I'm getting like the vibe of kind of like a mid late 90s R&B tune, maybe even early 2000s. And I know I've said before that in terms of like music preferences, like with R&B and rap or hip hop even, like pretty much anything after like the early 2000s, I really kind of not fully into as much as I would have been back in the day. So hearing this sound really kind of takes me back, and I just really love it. And again, it just fits Taeyang so much. And based on the silhouette I'm seeing on here, Jimin is about to pop up, so I'm gonna rewind just a little bit just so we can make sure he gets the entrance he deserves. But so far, I am really, again, no pun intended, really enjoying the vibe of this song. Yeah, it is. There he is. I really enjoy Jimin's vocals too. He's really good. Man, I can only imagine that. Oh Lord, here we go. Oh Lord, I only imagine the way people lost their minds at this part. Dude, as I said, I can only imagine the way people lost their minds on that part. It's one thing to hear them together, but to see them together meshing so well, oh my goodness. You know, and I know I haven't really done a lot with BTS on the channel, you know, and I'm kind of still kind of learning, you know, like each member for sure. I would say the main ones I'm really familiar with are probably Jimin, Jin, and Jungkook. And good God, I mean, like just by listening to some of their solo stuff, Jin is probably like my favorite in terms of vocalists on BTS, but I would throw Jimin really at a very close second. I actually, you know, and then I think about Jungkook and I'm just like, oh man, you know, and it's like Jungkook, I think, is definitely in terms of entertainment value, and I'll probably even say dancing, I'll probably take Jungkook, but vocals, I'll probably got Jin, but Jimin is probably like, oh Lord. I believe he's like definitely got a more of a balance between like the vocals and the dancing. Like I would say he's not as good as Jungkook at the dancing and not as good as Jin at the vocals, but I think he's got a better mix of the two than the other two do. You know, now that opinion might change as I watch more BTS stuff in the future, which I might do maybe with my upcoming K-pop video, because I know there's plenty of BTS stuff that I have not watched. But just as of right now, I would say Jimin is definitely a better mix of like vocals and dancing, you know, of the three that I mentioned. But good Lord, just it's amazing the vibe with this. I'll actually get into, not the vibe, but the mesh. I'll get into that a little more. Let me rewind this a little bit and then we're almost done. So we'll finish this off before I get into my further thoughts. It's amazing how it's like they sound so contrasting, but they mesh so well. Look at them together. Oh, you know fans lost their mind with this video. All right, love it. All right, y'all, that was Taeyang with Jimin, the song Vibe, and that was just as good as I expected. One of the things I want to get on before I lose the thought, because I was talking about their mesh and how well they mesh together, and I vaguely hit upon it right before the video ended, but it was how contrasting they sounded. You know, it's like you listen to them both together and it just feels like it's like such a contrast, where on paper, you know, it's like, how in the world could that work? But then once they, you know, actually did it, it's like, it's such a beautiful contrast. And I think that's what made it work. And I think that goes very well, which makes me, I mean, considering the name of the song being Vibe, you know, it's just, how many times have I made that freaking pun with this, you know, just saying I just really enjoyed the vibe of it. But I think that's what's amazing about this song, is that there was such a vibe, you know, not even just, you know, obviously with the lyrics, you know, it wasn't talking about them and everything, you know, obviously it's about, you know, someone they really want to get with or are with, but, you know, it's just the way they mesh together, despite their contrasting vocal sounds, I just think really made that song. And honestly, I think if Taeyang had done that with, you know, Jungkook, who I feel like probably would have been vocally more of a match, I don't think it would have worked as well, because I think the contrast is what really made this work. And I think when I think about Big Bang, even as a group, I think it's the contrast that each of the members have themselves. I think that's what made them work so well, because it felt like there was such a contrast, but they meshed so well that everything worked better than it could have if they all, you know, were matching in a way. You know, and I think you gotta have that with all groups. You know, I think if you got groups where you got a lot of the members that are very similar, you know, it just, there just isn't like a uniqueness to it, you know. And I can only comment on a couple of groups, you know, because there's only a couple of groups that I really know quite well. Like, I've seen a lot of Big Bang stuff, I've seen quite a few Wonder Girl stuff, but not enough to really have any real like opinions. Black Swan would probably be the next one. You know, I've seen some Shiny stuff. I would say Stray Kids is definitely a good one that goes in that. And I would even say BTS, you know, like I said, just because like I think about just the three that I mentioned, you know, just how they all seem that very, you know, contrast, but they all work out very well. You know, I can't say much about any of the other members of BTS, but the three that I mentioned earlier, Jimin, Jin, and Jungkook, you know, again, I mentioned where I thought, you know, their strengths were, and I don't want to necessarily say weakness, just they just aren't as strong in those areas, but I definitely would not call them weaknesses, you know. And really how it just kind of, how they all really complement each other. And I think that's the beauty of it when you got members that aren't all the same, is when you find ways to complement each other, you know, to where, yeah, you may not be as strong as one area, but because you're so strong in another area, you know, it kind of makes up for it. And at the same time, it also kind of helps, you know, make up for it when, you know, maybe there's another member that's not as strong in that area. You know, like I said, you know, Jungkook, you know, being like an awesome dancer, you know, I think his dancing, I think, elevates the other members' dancing per se. You know, I think, you know, personally, Jin, you know, the way his vocals are, it probably elevates the vocals of the other members, you know. And I think, again, that's kind of like what we get here. Now, granted, I don't think any one person elevated the other in this one, which I think made this work. You know, it just, they just did what they were strong at, they did what they were good at, and despite the fact that, you know, it was quite a contrast, it meshed beautifully. And, man, that was just, it was as awesome as I thought it was. I would not have expected anything less. Like I said, I expected way more on that, but, you know, I definitely am not going to say that the views dictate how good the song was, you know. And I can only imagine, like I said, just the hype when this song was announced, when it was released, just the hype on that, you know, because I'm already seeing the hype with the, you know, BTS announcing that they're going to be working on their new comeback now that everybody's done with their military service. You know, so I get that mixed up. And then on top of that, we got Big Bang's 20th anniversary coming up next year. So I've been seeing plenty of hype about that. Man, could you imagine that they had like a full-on collaboration between Big Bang and BTS? That would probably break the K-pop world, to be honest. That would probably break the K-pop world. I'm not even gonna lie. Not even gonna lie. That would be something to behold. But we'll wait and see what goes on there. You know, people can always dream. We'll see what happens. But In regards to this, I don't think I really have much more to say. It was a wonderful video, wonderful song, really enjoyed it, and definitely looking forward to reacting to some more K-pop stuff soon, you know, especially Big Bang. So you got any suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And thank you all for stopping by. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can check out more Big Bang and K-pop reactions, as well as some of the live streams I've done if you're a member. And also be sure to hit the notification bell if you are subscribed. That way anytime I hit up with a new live stream or upload a new video, you will be notified. Thank you all again for coming, and I'll catch you all down the road.